Welcome back to Ben's Basics. It's been a while. I've been dealing with a little bit of a health scare, and part of that is rapid weight loss. I was able to lose 30 pounds in about 3 months thanks to a new diet which features heavily with high protein, specifically beef jerky. This is how I make my beef jerky. Hope you enjoy the recipe. Alright, and here are our ingredients. First, we're going to need some beef. We're going to use some flank steak here. If you can't get flank steak, you can always use some top round. Next, we're going to need worcestershire sauce or Worcester sauce. Soy sauce, you don't need to get the expensive stuff, just regular Kiko man will work. Liquid smoke. Onion granules. Garlic powder. Smoked paprika. Some honey. Some crushed red pepper flakes. And black pepper. Lots of black pepper. Let's begin. So first we have our piece of flank steak. I'm going to have to cut it into thirds. This is to make it easier when we slice it into slices to marinate. Yep, okay, we're going to do it in thirds. And we're also going to need to firm this up because it's going to be way too floppy to slice well for beef jerky slices. So we're going to have to put this on a nice parchment lined baking sheet. We're going to put this in the freezer, I'd say about 30-40 minutes. I check after 30 minutes. What you want is it to be semi-hard, but still slightly floppy, like I'd say really hard jello. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this in the freezer for 40 minutes or so. Might take up to an hour and a half depending on the load in your freezer. Alright, see you in about 40 minutes. Now I'm going to slice it using a meat slicer I bought. This is about a $60 meat slicer off of Amazon. I find it's the easiest to slice it. I'm just slicing it with the grain. And there we go. The magic of editing, I have finished all 3 slices. Now I'm going to line a couple of cooling racks with our sliced beef. You don't want it to overlap, but you can have it touch. So I have about 8 of these cooling racks. It's going to use about 6 of them to get this done. There's always like little slices and pieces from the slicer. If I had a more expensive slicer, it'd probably slice a little bit neater, but this is what we got. Now we're going to make the marinade. So this is more about parts than quantity. So here we're doing basically 1-to-1 with the soy sauce and the Worcestershire sauce. For this much beef jerky, it's about 3 cups each. 3 cups of soy sauce, 3 cups of Worcestershire sauce. There we go. I'm also adding about a tablespoon of liquid smoke. You don't want to add more than a tablespoon because this stuff is strong. Next, we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of honey. There we go. All right. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. There we go. Doesn't matter if the honey is crystallized. It's honey, still honey, and it will dissolve if you mix it enough. So, yep, we want to mix it until the honey dissolves into the liquid. Next, we're going to add garlic powder. We're going to add about enough to coat the top of the liquid. There we go, like that. It's sorry I don't have like a tablespoon or teaspoon measurement, but say enough to coat the top. Next, we're going to use the onion granules because the granules have a little more kick than onion powder. I'd say you could actually stick with 1 tablespoon of onion granules. Next, we're going to add our smoked paprika. I'd say about 3 to 4 shakes. I'd say that be about a tablespoon. Next, we're going to add our crushed red pepper flakes. I'd say 1, 2, 3 nice pinches. All right. Next, crushed black pepper. I'd say easily 5 tablespoons of crushed black pepper. You want to be very pepper forward with this recipe. Alright, now we're going to marinate it. I used to do this in the plastic bags, but I've since found that if I like to do this every week, it's best to use these cooling racks in a Tupperware container just slightly bigger, and then pour on the marinade. There we go. You can use this marinade for up to 3 batches before it starts losing its kick. And really, the only things you really have to worry about are the spices and the Worcestershire sauce and the soy sauce. You can adjust the spices as you need to, but you definitely need those two because it's the acidity from the Worcestershire sauce and the saltiness of the soy sauce that helps preserve it. Now we're going to throw that into the fridge for 4 to 6 hours. Alright, 6 hours are up, and now we have our completely marinated beef slices. We're going to go and take that out and drain it. Just using a 1/4 sheet pan to do the draining. There we go. Alright, now to dry it, we're not using a dehydrator. We're going to use an air blower. But first we're going to need some 20 by 20 air filters. Cotton air filters is what you want. You don't want to use fiberglass. So we're going to go ahead and line these air filters with some paper towels. We're going to be using a lot of paper towels, by the way, so be prepared. Alright. Don't want to stain the air filters. Alright, now we're going to pat dry our meat before we put them onto the air filters. On the rack and everything, rack and all. Because ultimately, this is about streamlining the process. I used to do this in a Ziploc bag, but since I've been doing this every week, I find doing it this way just makes things faster and easier. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and just put in the last rack there. About 4 racks per air filter. Now I'm going to want you to meet my 2 biggest fans. These are 20 by 20 box fans. And we're going to go ahead and take our stacked air filters, and we're going to set up a little bit of a platform. I'm going to use 2 coolers to basically stand up the bottom air filter and make sure there's a gap between the two to pull in air. Alright, now we have the first bottom box fan down. We're going to go ahead and stack on our air filters. There we go. Make sure the gap's big enough. Now, looking here, I realized I need to put on an empty filter on top just to make sure everything is nice and clean. There we go. And we're going to just stack the top box fan on here. I'm using a principle I learned from ventilating computer cases, that having a blower and a puller helps a lot with air circulation. So this should, in theory, reduce our drying time. Alright, it's been 8 to 12 hours. Let's go ahead and take a look at our beef jerky. Last we saw it, it was wet, it was damp, and it was raw. But thanks to the acidity of the Worcestershire sauce and the saltiness of the soy sauce, among the fast-moving air, this should be completely dry, completely ready to eat beef jerky. There we go. Take a look at that. Nice and firm. Alright, now we're going to store these. I usually put about 2 racks worth in a Ziploc bag. That's about 3 ounces. I don't try to eat more than 3 ounces of this at a time. I also have a little bit of a desiccant inside the bags. That way it keeps it from any moisture to come in. Alright, just going to go ahead and throw that right into the bag there. Again, the marinade can be used up to 3 times, but after that, don't throw that away. I'm going to show you another recipe later. And there you have it. beef jerky. Some would say the perfect diet food. It's almost pure protein, keeps you going, and keeps you full. Like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.